If you're watching this video right now, you're probably trying to register to take the IELTS exam, or you've probably registered to take the IELTS test or exam, as you may call it. Maybe for academic purposes, maybe for relocation purposes. And I'm here to tell you that it does not matter why you're taking the test. All that matters is that you pass the test. And whatever reason for you taking the test, I'm here to tell you today that you can absolutely pass it. You can absolutely ace it the very first time you write the test. So today I'm just going to tell you how to prepare for the test. Without further ado, let's get into it. So for the tests, you have 4 sections. That's the listening, the reading, the speaking, and the writing sessions. And for each of these sessions, there are so many things that you have to do in each session. So they're trying to know if you can interact in the basic way, if you can write fluently, if you can read fluently, if you can speak fluently, if you can listen to understand what people say. To pass the test, number 1, you have to get familiar with the structure of the test. You have to understand the basic things that are needed to be done in the test. How many minutes are they going to give you for each section? What are the things that you're going to need to do for the test? Do you have to go to a certain length to ensure that you pass the test? These are the things that you have to know in the first part. So for you to adequately study and prepare for the test, you have to know what is expected of you. When you know what is expected of you, that's when you're able to prepare for the test the way that you should prepare for the test. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is practicing. You know how they say that practice makes perfect. It is also applicable for this test. Regardless of your background, regardless of your knowledge, regardless of whatever background you're coming from, you have to practice this test. You have to practice how it is being done. You have to practice to attune your ears to some of the things that you're going to hear. You have to practice, and practice. So how do you practice? There are so many links online where you can practice online. I'm going to put some of these links in the description box, so you can just click on these links and go there and take free practice tests. Just continue to practice. You can practice your speaking, you can practice your listening, you can practice your writing. For the reading part, I know that the reading part is one of the most complicated parts, because they would give you comprehensions, they will give you passages to read, and they will test your level of comprehension. So you have to get familiar with it. Do not underestimate the power of practicing. There's a pattern that I use that has been working for me so far. So for any challenge that I have, for any exam that I have, for any test that I have, and that I have to prepare for, I start from the most challenging parts before I then move on to the easiest parts of studying for the test. For this test, when I wanted to do mine, the part that I had challenges with was the listening parts, and obviously, for obvious reasons, I lived in Nigeria at the time. I wasn't used to the accent of the country that I was traveling to, and for the test, I was required to pick a language that I would be judged in. And when I picked the language for the country that I was planning to go to, I realized that I had to practice my listening. I started to watch videos and I turned off the subtitle. So I started to train my ears to listen to them, to pick out words from them without any issue. And this actually worked for me. If this works for you, by all means, please go ahead and do it. If speaking is challenging for you, start with the speaking part. If reading is the challenge for you, start with the reading part. If listening, like me, is a challenge for you, start with the listening part. The third thing that I'm going to talk about is timing. Timing is very, very, very important when you're doing this test. So many people do not finish the test and then they end up having some marks taken away from their score. When you're preparing and you're practicing online, so you're going to have your stopwatch by your side, so that when you're practicing, you are able to analyze how fast you can go. you're able to train yourself to beat the time. For reading and writing, you're going to have 60 minutes respectively for each of them. So you want to practice taking the test in a maximum of 60 minutes. So once you continue to practice, once you continue to practice using your stopwatch, you would get there. It might not be easy at the first time. In fact, when you do it for the first time, you may go on and on to do it for like 90 minutes, or even just go ahead to like 160 minutes. But the more you practice, the more you get familiar with the process, the more you get familiar with the words and everything, the requirements, you will gradually get to your desired pace. So yeah, that's that about that. The final thing that I'm going to talk about is your state of mind, your projected scores, everything that you're planning to have. Or it depends on the country you're going to, it depends on the course you're going for. They have a minimum score that you can get. For me, I wanted to get a 9.0, but because I don't know, factors came in, I had 7.0. That was fine for me. But for you, you may want to have in mind what it is that is required of you, what it is that the minimum score is for what you're going to do, where you're going to. If it is for relocation, when you take the general test, they will tell you what your minimum score should be, and if it is for academic purposes, they will tell you what your minimum score would be. So you may want to have in mind what you want to achieve, what score you want to get. So there's a difference between your projected score and your actual score, and what actually impacts your actual score is your projected score. So if you want to get 9.0, you may end up getting 8.0, depending on how good you are in the test and how prepared you are for the test. So it is always good to have a score in mind. Have something in mind that you're working towards. Have something in mind that you are working towards. Have a score in mind that you know that this is what I want to get, so I'm working towards this. This is what I want to achieve, I am working towards this. This will also motivate your studying pattern. This will also motivate how you study, how much you put into your studying and everything. When the day of the exam comes, don't be nervous, don't fidget. I know it's easy to be nervous and fidget. Don't be nervous, don't fidget. Just go in there, write your test and ace it. And one very important thing, please follow every single instructions. As you're writing the test, the instructions will change, especially for the writing part, especially for the reading part. The instructions will change as you go on in the test. Please make sure that you follow instructions. So yeah, that's everything that I have to say today. If you found this video useful, please share, please like, please subscribe, and drop your comments. I really love to read from you. I would love to hear feedbacks from you. Comment, like, share, and yeah, subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Bye. See you in the next video. Full of